melt this when I'm ocean wave.
Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Washington Post Coach of the Year, Darryl Overton, back with Freedom off an undefeated season, and this is DeMatha week. This is it, Coach. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Again, appreciate you having me. Again, just appreciate all the positive light that you bring into high school sports in general, and making it commonplace to talk about it. Like you said, on forums such as this and other social media.
Well, thanks, Coach. Well, I mean, you guys do the heavy lifting, but I'm glad to support you when I can. Well, Coach, we were just talking offline about this DeMatha game and the hype around it. I mean, DeMatha has dominated football and basketball in the area for 50 years since I was a kid, and you guys are very well regarded. It's going to be a great game. Everyone expecting a great game, but at the same time, Highland Springs is going down and playing Maury. Last week, Stonebridge went up to Martinsburg and played Perennial State Power. What do these games mean to the coaches? I mean, for the fans, it's a lot of fun, and they answer a lot of questions that are unanswered because there's so many different classifications: private, public, six. I mean, the best teams hardly ever play. But as a coach, what do these games mean to you?
Well, I think the thing that most important, all of us look at as coaches, think about all the teams you just named, how successful those programs have been. It's just finding new ways to challenge your kids and your program. You as a coach, going against other great programs that got pride in what they do and do things at a high level. So I think as a coach, you're just trying to create that environment of competition where you're ready for what's to come down the road. I think that's what you're seeing that's happening. And I also think, like you said, the PowerPoint system has played a huge role because it doesn't hurt you to play good teams. So it makes no sense not to. And, I can't speak for the other guys, but I can attest to, coaching and like kind of maybe not such good opponents, like having everything works the way you draw it up. And then you're like, dang, I haven't like played chess in 6 weeks. So it's another way to keep you sharp as a coach where you're, staying on top of your game as well as the kids, and you're ready to make adjustments and you're game planning the way you should be and not just game planning with a mentality like my team is better. So it kind of keeps everybody sharp.
Yeah. Well, I just got off with Matt Hatfield, and he said that Phoebus, who was the Class 3 champ last year, they're in 4 now. They just played Oscar Smith, who was another tough team, but they probably are not going to be tested the rest of the year according to their schedule. Now, as a coach, would you still enjoy that? I mean, would you still be able to get the kids up every week if you're not playing a team on your level for weeks at a time?
Yeah, I think one thing that you kind of shy away from, and we've even bumped into this, is, teams that are in your immediate area, they don't care about all that. You know what I mean? It is the people you guys see at the grocery store, the people you guys see at Wawa, and those kids. Like you said, we fell to in-conference opponent the year we went to the regional championship, and it was like you said, that game was important to them. Mm-hmm. So I think the challenge for us is coaches is always finding a way to keep it important. Now, with the new age of social media and stuff, kids on other teams usually find a way to keep everybody motivated by stuff that they say and they post. Yeah. So that helps out a lot of times. But like you said, from a coach's standpoint, it's more so one of the things like you want to make sure that you're practicing and preparing for football stuff. Sometimes when you're playing against weaker opponents, it's not a lot of football X and O stuff going on. So that kind of makes you rusty and unprepared.
Yeah. And also guys like Jay Golson get you guys ready for those games. As well. Well, before I get to your team this year, the Freedom team this year, and DeMatha, how are your recent graduates doing? I know TJ Bush is getting on the field at Liberty, and I saw one of your Facebook posts where you have lots of kids that are playing right now. So give us an update on how your kids are doing.
So just a blessing. Like I said, we got a lot of guys playing college football. So Rashawn Lee, playing center at South Carolina, played last night the other night versus North Carolina. Obviously, Josh Fuga's a captain at Virginia Tech. Amari Hatcher had 5 catches, 105 yards at Syracuse, as you stated. We had what's the young man? We had Davis Bryson playing at Kennesaw State, scored his first collegiate touchdown.
That's great.
AJ played on TV versus Arizona State. He plays with Southern Utah. Also yesterday on the NFL Network in the Hall of Fame game, Virginia Union was playing, and Devontae Boyd and Adrian Crespin, 2 of our former linemen, playing there. Jacksonville State played and won big. Jabril El-Amin. So, like I tell people, just a blessing. Jaden Smith played at Norfolk State in that game that was on ESPN Plus versus Virginia State, as well as us having Will Golston at Virginia State. So, like you said, it just makes you proud. Again, you got all these guys playing college football, and then, like you said, TJ was an obvious one. Kendall was at Ohio playing. Like you said, it's just a blessing. You just think about all the families and how that affects the next generations of those families. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what you've accomplished, Coach. That's even more impressive than the state champion, than the state championship. So when you think about your team, this year, I mean, you graduated TJ Bush, you graduated Adrian Crispin, who you just talked about, but you got a lot of players back this year. Tristan Evans Trujillo's back, quarterback. Jeff Overton, top running back, first team All-Met. Juju Preston, top receiver. EJ Reed, all over the field the first 2 games. Walter Hughes, your big guy, your little big man on the offensive line. You got a lot of players back this year. How would you compare your teams from last year to this year, or do you like to just start from scratch and not get caught up in trying to figure out how this team is different than last year's team?
Well, I just think, like you said, you have a sense of comfort that you return in a lot of players. The thing that when you're a good team, and we're not the only one that goes with this, you're usually replacing some guys that are pretty good. Mm-hmm. There is no immediate fix for a TJ Bush or Kendall or even Adrian Crespin and Armand. So we're having to replace 2 key guys on our offensive line and 2 key guys on defense. Like you said, people, take that type of stuff, as an afterthought, but it hurts. But what you try to do is figure out what each team does well. You know what I mean? And you try to go with, what fits this team's makeup offensively and defensively opposed to what the other team did really well. So we kind of ran into some of that in the scrimmages, things that we did well last year. We learned we don't necessarily do as well this year, but we do some other things better than we did last year. So now you got to shift your focus and continue to get good at those things.
Yeah. Are you going to have as many 2-way players this year as you had last year?
Always. I tell people we're a 6A school, but we only pulling from probably a third of our population. Our school is 50-something% Hispanic, so we don't have huge numbers no matter what. So yes, we're leaning on our guys. What we've done over the years is try to eliminate the alignment from having to go both ways. We usually can sub skill guys, get them a break here and there, but we try to remove the big guys from having to go both ways. But that's the thing here that's always going to be, and like we just talked about the college football thing, I think something that we've done that's made our kids so recruitable is we're making football players. We're not making specialists. And, you see it at the youth level. So many people my kid's a slot. And I'm like, he's 9 years old. What do you mean he's a slot? He can't run the ball. He can't block. He can't do anything but run routes. So it allows guys to show what they can do in a multitude of fashions and get recruited as well. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise.
What is your philosophy on managing your elite players? I mean, when you got returning All-Met players, most of them are self-driven. But do you challenge them, or do you trust them to get ready to prepare on their own? Like, for example, a Jeff Overton, he's already walking to a Division I program. If he was as good as he was last year, that would be good enough. But obviously, you'd like to see a little bit more. How do you manage your elite players?
I think you just got to challenge them like everybody else. That's been something that we've talked about since February. Like, as good as you were last year, you can be better. And, one thing that I always refer to is those guys in college and NFL. I follow Minka Fitzpatrick, Tom Brady, these guys at the top of their game, and they got videos out at 5 a.m., working out, nobody in the stands, just them. So, the thing with your elite players is you have to challenge them like everyone else. And then you kind of got to continue to do that, or you're selling your kids short for what's to come at the next level. So, aside of all those guys we've had at the next level, I think the best thing is they're all playing. So they have the mental toughness, they have the fortitude to continue to keep going, be a student athlete. So the elite guys, we push them. We try to make sure we get them out in practice a little more than we probably used to, because we know what they can do. So you kind of do that. Like, then you kind of got to yell at the young guys, like, stay off their legs. You know, young guy just trying to make a name for himself. You end up yelling at the young guy. You can't do what he does on Friday nights yet. Stay off his legs. So that's how you manage it. But I think, like you said, the team atmosphere kind of manages the egos, though. You just got to challenge them like everybody else. You know that is the best athletes want to be challenged, and you just got to figure out new ways to do it all the time.
Yeah. What about the expectations? So after you guys beat Verina won a state championship 2 years ago. Great program. You guys went down there on 5 days rest after beating Coolidge easily, and you beat Verina. I think it was an 8-point game. And
Yeah.
so the first thing I see on social media is it was a close game. I'm like, well, it became close. It was still an 8-point win on the road.
Yeah.
From where I came from, that's a big win. But it
Yeah.
seems like in some way you're a prisoner of your own success. People are used to you beating people by 60, 70, 80 points. So if a team, I mean, Verina, they got some ball players in there. They got a coaching staff. If they stay in the game, it's almost like you guys can't win. Are the expectations on the Freedom team almost sometimes too high?
I don't want to say it's too high. I think it comes with all good programs. I don't care if it's baseball, soccer. If you're a good program year in, year out, people kind of, if they see any type of weakness, a low score, a close game, they're hoping there's some type of chink in your armor that they can get in. The main thing with the Verona game is, like you said, we was able to show a lot of mental toughness, that week. And you're probably one of the few people that even thought about it. We played Saturday, and then we had to play Thursday.
And you had to travel down there.
Yeah, and then Monday we literally came outside in helmets because everybody was still sore.
Mm-hmm.
And you really only had Tuesday and Wednesday. As far as the game goes, we were doing a great job. Verona, we gave them some momentum with some things that we did. I think that game was on the way to being like, a lot of games, and we gave them life. And like you said, they're a prideful program. I think they are going to be one of the better teams in a way, just respectfully, because of coach. There's some things that we forced them to do that made them a better team. Some adjustments, personnel changes they made, and it made them a better team instantly, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So, again, last year they lost to Dinwiddie and Holland Springs. I mean, they're a good team. With that said, like you said, the expectation level was win. And like you said, it was not an easy place to win. There was a lot of things, working against us to keeping that game from getting left or right either way. But like you said, showed mental toughness, got it done. Kids, they learn from that. And I think we needed a little bit of it to take the air out of the sails. Those young guys, kids, they get big headed, think they can't do no wrong. So it helped us refocus them, going into this week and stuff like that. So I'm happy to, like you said, I'm happy to win. That's it.
Yeah. Well, are you 2 weeks? The season's only 2 weeks old. Are you where you thought you were going to be? I mean, I'm sure you're confident you can win 2 games, but is the team playing the way you thought they would play 2 weeks ago?
I do. I think we can get a lot better in a good way, and I learned that from watching guys like Lauren, Coach at Stonebridge, Coach Brown at Colonial Forge, all good, like all good teams, Madison, they get better throughout the year. They don't peak out week 2, week 3. Those coaches find a way to stay on their guys and they get better. So, we're trying to continue to mimic that and just making sure we get better. We are in a good place. Obviously, I still think we can be better than we are as far as things that we do on both sides of the ball. And it's going to be my job to continue to find ways to make sure we get better every week, regardless of success, margin of victory, any of that.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about having a Thursday game is you get a little bit more time for the next game, so you got some time to prepare. You earn that. DeMatha is coached by a guy named Bill McGregor. He's the 4th all-time winning coach in Maryland history. I believe he's been there. He started there 40 years ago. Here's a guy that's been coaching. He's coached so many great players. When you think about what Coach McGregor has accomplished, do you see yourself as being a lifer in coaching? I talked to a lot of coaches. I talked to a guy named Bill Pope last year. He won a state championship at Northside for the boys. And he played up here in Mount Vernon. Here he is. He started coaching in 1982. 40 years later, he's winning a state championship. And he loves what he's doing. Do you see yourself as being a lifer and coaching for your whole career?
I mean, I do. I mean, like you said, I just feel like, no matter what, that's my gift is that God blessed me with is being impactful on young people. How it is. I've had many different plans for myself, and somehow all roads have led back to this. So I'm happy in it. Again, I saturate myself in football and working with youth at all ages, all levels. So, yeah, I see it. I see it that way as well.
Yeah. Now, one thing about DeMatha is it's a private school, and when you're a great coach and you have a great program, the good players are going to find you. So it's not like you're necessarily stuck with the kids in the Freedom District. I mean, you're going to get some kids that come to Freedom, and all teams experience that. But private school is a little bit different. There's a challenge of coaching at a private school. Would that ever be something that's attractive to you?
Yeah, I think anything that's the right job and right fit, I think is the best thing. Like you said, when you can, get whoever you want and go wherever you want and play, and as long as you represent the school and your conference in the right way, I think, that's ultimately probably one of the bigger goals at the high school level. And like you said, DeMatha has been, a model of that, along with a lot of those schools in the WCAC, not just them, but they've probably been, like you said, the most consistent, them in St. John's. So nothing but respect. Like you said, Coach McGregor, we started scrimmaging 2 years ago, and we had 2 great scrimmages. And then this year we decided to play a game. It's just when you're playing them, they have so many bodies. Like, we went and saw them play in person Friday, and at halftime they had an offense and defense, and we probably had 40 people in it. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing is, everybody knows St. John's wanted to play us week 25, August 25th, where we played Coolidge. And I told Coach, like, my ego says yes, but I can't play you with 80 or 100 kids, then go play Verona, and then play DeMatha and their 100 kids. I got to be able to make it through my season. So, you know what I mean? So, again, like you said, it's, private school going to have the numbers, but not just like this. I don't want to ever discredit them, any of them, because they're coaching too. You know what I mean? They're a well-coached team. They do all the little things, not like they're just collecting talent. They're not coaching. I mean, they're a well-coached team from beginning to end.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great for the fans, because these are the kind of games that the fans ask for. We want to see these matchups. And instead of arguing about who's best, let's play the game and let's see who's best. And that's, this is really exciting to people who have been lifelong Northern Virginia fans. We always felt like that the private schools and even the DC schools were favored over the Virginia schools. And especially, we've always felt this way in basketball. I don't think it's been quite as bad in football, because I think Northern Virginia gets respect in football. But we've always felt like the DC schools, especially the private schools, have been that way. So, Coach, when you prepare for DeMatha, are you going to prepare this week like you prepare for any other good team, or is there something different, something unique about this week?
Now we're gonna prepare the same. It's like I told the guys this morning. Like your sense of urgency got to be now. You know what I mean? You can't wait till Friday to have a sense of urgency. You got to prepare with a sense of urgency. So we're not going to, necessarily change everything we do or go off the reservation, but uh, we are going to have to match their sense of urgency and physicality. So we kind of got to duplicate that the best way we can in practice. But we're gonna prepare. Probably me. I'll watch a little bit more film than I have on some other opponents. You know what I mean? Just anything I can see or find to give my team, my guys, an advantage. But we're gonna prepare the same, bring me a little bit more diligently. You know what I mean? Looking for any edge, competitive edge we can find. But I think we just, like you said, we got to match this sense of urgency and physicality.
Now, Coach, when you're playing football, and when I played football, I was a running back. And whenever I played the game, I almost had a sense of going into combat before a game. I mean, I hear some people talk about how excited they are, how much fun it's going to be. When I played football, I began a game with fear, and then once I got hit, I relaxed and I played the game. That was just the way I approached the game. When you think about your players, do you ever think players can get too hyped and you want to say, look, guys, we gotta concentrate on freedom football, or do you want them to be extra hyped for a game of this magnitude?
Well, I like pushing them to being hyped and inspired. I do. I mean, I take pride in doing that and giving good pep talks before we go out. But you also want to be level-headed. I think some of the stuff that you're referring to is you don't want a guy pressing too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the opponent, you want to kind of do what you do well and do it at a high level. But I agree with you on that. I want to get them hyped, make sure we meet, like you said, the challenge head on, not wait and see if we can. Go ahead and run down and meet it.
Yeah. Well, Freedom has a very a special way, very different way of playing. At least for a guy who was away from football for many years, the way you guys spread the field, it's very difficult. You're a very difficult team to defend. In terms of, I know DeMatha is a very high level team, as is Freedom. Is it a good matchup for Freedom? Is the way DeMatha plays? Do you guys match up well from the way they play?
Well, they do. The crazy thing is, I was the only high school coach that spoke at the coaches clinic that Coach McGregor and those guys had year before last. It's a good matchup for us. They're bigger than us on the offensive line. Obviously, they got one guy that's 6'7", another guy that's 6'6". But I feel like what they do well, we do well. You know what I mean? And I feel like what I might consider a weakness, we're pretty strong at. I think it's, like you said, going to come down to, who makes a big play, who makes some mistakes, who minimizes mistakes, who minimizes the other team's big plays. But like I said, I like how we match up with them. Like I said, as far as on paper, we just kind of got to meet the challenge because there's probably a few times that, a public school goes in and shoot. We got a kid going to Wake Forest, Indiana. Jeff has 17 offers. We got a lot of guys already, guy linemen going to North Carolina Central. We got a lot of guys already signed, sealed, and delivered. So, I think we match up well. It's just, like you said, we got to, meet the challenge because they're going to bring the challenge and they're going to be that.
Yeah. Well, you know DeMatha well because you scrimmaged them the last 2 years. I know they lost one of their top running backs from last year, Tavani Mazzell. I guess he went back to Florida, went back to Western High School. They got a returning all-Met wide receiver, Cody Williams. I think because the running back transferred back, they were rated 6th in the Washington Post, which is a little bit low for DeMatha. I think people had sold them a little short going into the year. They opened up the season with a big win, followed up with another big win. Tell us a little bit about their star players and what you expect from them.
Well, a couple of things that hasn't changed. The quarterback is now a 3-year starter. Mm-hmm. He's put on probably about 10 pounds of muscle. He looks good. He's beefed up. You could tell that they trust him as a kid that's been a 3-year starter. They're opening up the playbook a little more than DeMatha has done in the past, as far as our experience scrimmaging up. Like you said, the Cody Williams kid, we talk about public school and private school. He goes both ways. You know what I mean? So their best kids is going both ways as well.
Is that right?
He does a lot for them at safety and at receiver. The running back now, his name is Bud Combs, I believe, number 7. He's a really good back. Rare combination of good speed and power, runs tough. Probably a little tougher than the kid they had last year because this kid, you could tell he got like something to prove. Where the other kid came with all the fanfare. This kid kind of, runs with a little edge to him, a little chip on his shoulder. They got a D lineman, number 8, Emmett, who is very good. He's a rare D lineman that's explosive and athletic. You know what I mean? He's strong at the point of attack, but he can run you down. And, I love number 1 for them, which is kind of like their nickel. He covers, he blitzes. He's involved in a lot of things they do on the defensive side of the ball. So, as always, they got no shortage of talent. There's a couple of guys that, stuck out to me immediately.
Yeah. Coaches, how big of a home field advantage is Freedom? Is it a big advantage to play at Freedom?
I think from a comfort level and a mental state for our kids, it is. Like you say, you don't have to get on the bus. You're at home. You kind of aware of the atmosphere and everything going on. It'll be good, but our program has improved where when we was at Coolidge, we had the most people there. Yeah. So, our families and our fan base going to show up, but being at home just gives you a sense of, like you said, security. You don't have to go anywhere. You can relax and just play your game.
Yeah. So, Coach, remind me what time the game is. Is it Friday or Saturday?
It's Friday. It's at 7 o'clock.
Okay, 7 o'clock Friday. Okay, well, good, Coach. Well, look, I wish you the best. All of Virginia's pulling for you. It'll be a great win for you. I know you got other goals this year, but to beat DeMatha would be outstanding. I do want to end with one question. Deion Sanders, Prime, is you guys are a little bit alike in that you guys have your own way of doing things, and you have one or two haters out there that you have to deal with. What did it mean to you? Deion Sanders went to Colorado. So we did this at Jackson State. And everyone said, well, he's doing that against historically black colleges. He's not going to be able to do that at Colorado. Well, he goes right into Colorado, brings in a whole new team, it goes on the road, and he wins the first game against TCU. I mean, unbelievable accomplishment, I think. I mean, I don't know the teams that well, but it seems huge. What did that mean to you to see Deion Sanders do that?
Just confirms, that there's more than one right way to do things. You know what I mean? You can coach like Deion. You can coach like Nick Saban. You can coach like Jim Harbaugh. One thing that I think Deion has made clear is kind of where we kind of share is if the kids feel like you love them, they'll do whatever for you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes our society and school structures and systems don't allow that. You know what I mean? Kind of everything is based off a rule, regulation, and not getting sued. So you constantly, sometimes what's right may not match up with a regulation. You know what I mean? But I think, Prime and Coach Sanders is just showing, doing things out of love. And there's more than one way to do things to be successful, which is amazing. And like you said, you can, come from all walks of life and do everything you want to do, man. That's what this country is about. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I knew he was going to be successful, but I just didn't think he'd come out of the gate like that. That one really surprised me. So it's fun to see it. And all of a sudden, everyone's watching Colorado on a Saturday at noon. I mean, it's crazy. So, yeah. Well, Coach, look, I'll be there on Friday. I thought the game was on Saturday. I'm at the UVA Madison game. Hopefully, we can hold our ground against JMU coming to town. But definitely be down there. I've never seen you guys play on in live, so hopefully I'll be down there taking some photos and watching the game. But I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully, later on this year, come back on again, and as we go towards the playoffs, we could talk more about your team.
Absolutely, anybody watching, like, subscribe, ASAP. Like I said, stand-up guy, great thing for youth sports, all sports, not just football. Like, subscribe, share. Everybody on my side.
I appreciate it, Coach. Yeah, Coach, it's great. It's great to get to know you. You're doing phenomenal things. I don't think we've fully grasped Freedom High School, an area of Eastern Prince William County, being so dominant in football. I think sometimes when you have success, we take success for granted. We look at things that we might not agree with, and you lose sight of the big picture. And what you're in, the big picture, yes, actually was yesterday when all your kids were playing on Saturday, when all your kids were playing on game day. But you're continuing doing great things, Coach. I appreciate the kind words, and I look forward to meeting you in person on Friday.
All right, done deal. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Coach. We'll see you Friday.
All right, brother.
All right, man.